First thing first, sleep is not sacrifice, it's a celebration. It's a ritual you perform every single night to honor yourself. And in 15 minutes, this video will change how you spend the next 1/3 of your life. Until I was 30 years old, I was living like I was immortal. I was sleeping as little as I could to get more done, thinking the body will adjust. And the body does adjust, but not the way you want. Sleeping less and less is like hitting a dam with a little hammer. And most days, nothing will happen. But one day, the dam will crack and it will hit everything downstream. And then things will become bad very fast. In this video I will flood you, pun intended, with everything I learned over the years about sleep, its purpose, what it does to your body, and all the protocols to protect it. The sleep economy is worth 585 billion. 27% of the American population suffer from sleep problems. And yet, the best sleep of your life costs nothing. We did not evolve for the lifestyle we currently have. We grew up as cavemen staring at red flames. Now we go to bed staring at blue lights. We build houses that are not designed for our well-being. We are constantly exposed to loud environments, toxic cities, and bright bedrooms. And while we forgot what good sleep means, entire industries have emerged to sell us supplements, drugs, and tools to improve the one thing that hasn't changed for hundreds of thousands of years. We did. And in the process, we forgot. When I was 25 years old till about 28 years old, I used to go out a lot, every single night or most of the nights. But from 28, I also started working as a chef, which means working 50 to 65 hours a week with 2 days off and most of the weekends, if not all of them. But I wasn't happy with this. So on a Friday and a Saturday night, I was going out after work, which was 11 p.m. till 3 a.m., going back to sleep, sleeping for 3 hours and going back to a 12 to 14 hour service. I was drinking a lot of coffees back then. I never touched Red Bulls or energy drinks, never. But a lot of coffees were involved. The problem with this is I thought I could have slept on my days off, but you do not recover sleep. You minimize the damage, but the damage stays there. And when I learned this, when I started investigating about health and researching and learning more and more about sleep, it made me very sad because those years not only left an inflammation that cannot be recovered because the body will remember everything eventually, but I wouldn't do it again. It was not worth it. It got so bad with me walking around caffeinated all the time that the head chef, started asking to my colleagues if I was using drugs. And the colleagues knew about my habits of going out, and I wasn't even drinking when I was going out. I was going out just to be able to have a social life sometimes. And my colleagues were saying, no, it just goes out on the weekend. That's it. I was not even touching alcohol, because the moment you touch alcohol and you sleep that little, it will be hard. It will be very hard. But for me, it was just sleep deprivation. And it does an effect to you, because I was walking around and injuring myself a lot because you make mistakes and forgetting things. And if you consider I did this for almost a year and a half, well, there are some damages for sure. And I do not recommend it to anybody. If you have to change something, change job or don't go out as much. If I could say anything to a younger version of myself, right now I don't have any neurological problems at all, but you want to listen further on the video. Sleep is not rest. It is active biological maintenance. When you sleep, the body is running its own cleaning cycle. It's like the washing machine that you push at night and then you go to sleep and it keeps working. Well, it can keep working optimally or it can keep working poorly. You decide everything. But most people are not aware on how to run their washing machine in the best possible way. While you sleep, your brain runs its own cleaning cycle. And this is how it works. It's fascinating. There is a system in the brain called the glymphatic system. And in the brain there is a structure, little cells, called glymphatic cells. And when you go to sleep properly, the cells reduce in size 80 to 90%. They shrink. In between, there is a space with all the toxicity. And the lymphatic system floods the area in between these glial cells. The toxicity flows outside of the body and it goes. But this is if you rest properly. Because if you don't, the toxicity stays in. One of those waste products lacks is amyloid beta, a protein. When it accumulates over the years, it becomes one of the primary markers for Alzheimer's disease. Matthew Walker and his team at UC Berkeley used PET machines to measure amyloid beta's deposits in the brain, and what they found was a direct relationship. The more amyloid beta accumulated, the worse the quality of deep sleep, and the worse the deep sleep, the more amyloid beta accumulated. It is a loop, and most people are already inside of it without even knowing it. In some of the books I was reading, it was talking about two important political figures, Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, and both of them were bragging in a way about how little sleep they were having in exchange of working a lot. They were hard workers, right? Margaret Thatcher developed dementia, I think, and Ronald Reagan developed Alzheimer, or the other way around. But still, they both developed neurological problems because of the lack of sleep. There is a fantastic book from Matthew Walker where he described these things, and there is a direct correlation between lack of sleep and developing neurological problems when you get older. And to all the people that are thinking and saying all the time, I can sleep when I get older, this is what you get when you get older. The body remembers, the scars are made, so it's way better to prevent rather than to cure later, because so far there is no cure for Alzheimer that I know of, or any other degenerative neurological disease. I read somewhere that as an experiment they placed a lot of people in a dark pitch room, one by one. They were putting them in deep sleep, and they were placing beforehand a LED behind one of their knees. The room was completely dark. When they were deep sleeping, they were activating the LED, and with an EEG machine they were registering an immediate disruption in their deep sleep, in their REM cycle. This was to prove that the skin has photosensible cells that they react to light. So it doesn't matter if you have the blinders down, if you have the TV in the room with the red light on, it can disrupt your sleep because your skin perceives the light. Another cool thing, there is a neurotransmitter called GABA which switches your brain into rest mode. This neurotransmitter can be influenced by parasites in your intestine, because parasites, they feed on iron. Certain gut parasites produce ammonium as a waste byproduct, and ammonia has a direct influence on GABA. Sometimes when you experience nights being up all night thinking non-stop, endless thoughts, and this is your GABA being disrupted. Your gut bacteria produces the GABA, and they communicate it to the brain through the vagus nerve. A 2025 review in Brain Medicine confirmed that disruption in gut microbiota are directly linked to sleep disturbances across insomnia, sleep apnea, and circadian rhythm disorders. So if your gut is compromised, your sleep will reflect it. The moon, and I love this part, because if you speak to teachers of early years, elementary school, middle school, they will swear on their life that few days before and few days after and the same day of full moon cycles, the kids will go crazy. They will have a lot of energy and they will be uncontrollable, because the moon phases have a direct influence on neuroactivity. I was saying this to somebody the other day and they said bullshit. The moon does not affect us this much, but there is a study from 2021 by Science Advances that confirms that the lunar cycles affect our sleep. People sleep less and go to bed later in the days before the full moon. There is a company called 8 Sleep. He was founded in America by an Italian guy, and I think he has 1.5 billion evaluation already. And basically what they do, they produce a mattress cover that thermoregulates based on your needs. So he adjusts based on the sleep cycle during the night, and based on your body temperature he adjusts. And if you put it on a queen size or king size mattress and he identifies 2 people in there, he adjusts one side to your body temperature and the other side to your partner or your friend body temperature, which is amazing. But the only thing I have against this is that I read a book called The Invisible Rainbow, which I made a video about, and it talks about 110 years of studies about the effects on living beings and human beings with documents and names and locations on the effects of EMF on the human body. And this thing emits EMF, of course. So to have something directly in contact with your skin for 7 to 8 hours is not my cup of tea. But if you see some benefits in this, please go ahead and try it. But if you want to watch the video first, have a look, get some curiosity with an unbiased mind, and if you see something valuable, keep staying curious. But EMF close to my body, not my thing. And in the book he says as well, people will become aware the moment when we understand that EMFs are so damaging for us that we will go to our neighbor at night asking to turn the Wi-Fi off. This is how bad it is. But again, either you think it's a conspiracy or not, go and watch the video and make your mind up to it. And here is what I do every single night, without exception. It might sound boring for most people, but I love my life. And the routine I'm getting, I wouldn't trade it for anything else. I go to bed by 10 p.m. Actually, most nights I'm in bed at 9:30. And then I read a book and meditate, or just meditate. These days, and this will be hard for most people, but I mostly do not have dinner. So my last meal usually is 3-4 p.m. because I have a late lunch, or if I have lunch, 1-2 p.m. And then I do not snack and I do not have dinner. I try not to drink too much 1 or 2 hours before going to bed, because now when I do, I will definitely wake up. Your best and most restorative sleep happens before midnight. Every single hour before midnight is worth 2 hours after it. In these days, I always leave the window open, and it doesn't matter if it's winter here or winter in Switzerland, winter in Europe, anywhere, I leave the window open. First reason, fresh air comes in. Second reason, the room stays cool. And here in Perth, it can get to 40 degrees a night during summer. It's terrible, but if you don't have the same situation and you have an air cooling system, maybe you can keep your room at 18 degrees, because 18 degrees is the sweet spot in which you fall asleep straight away and you don't wake up through the night. They made studies with people suffering from insomnia. They never slept. They put them in a pitch dark room, they lay them down, they bring the room to 18 degrees Celsius, and these people, they fall asleep immediately, like magic. 18 degrees Celsius, that's the sweet spot. Complete darkness, and we already talked about this. If you don't have blinders, buy some great blinders, because complete darkness will be a game changer for you. I used to live in a flat where I had blinders, but there was some light coming through, and it was terrible for me. You wake up so many times at night, or if you don't wake up, you wake up in the morning that you are not rested, and this is even worse. It feels like you just wasted 8 hours of your life. Sleep is meant to restore you, to heal your body. When you are sleeping, actually your body is healing, but if you don't sleep properly, no healing. So make sure it's pitch dark, not even an LED, you know, the TV things or the phone charging light, nothing, pitch dark. The next thing is, do not eat before you go to sleep. My last meal, if I have one, is 2 hours before I go to sleep, because if you do, all the energy and the blood will flow to the stomach and not to the part of the brain and the body that is taking care of removing toxicity from your system. And in the morning you can actually check how much the liver worked by scraping your tongue, and the thicker the paste that comes out, the more it worked. If it's translucid, not too much work. If it's white, a lot of work. If it's yellow, there is high inflammation in the body. This is a massive one, but no blue lights 2 hours before you go to sleep. No scrolling, no Facebook, no social media, no television, no video games, 2 hours before you go to sleep. If you watch horror movies or exciting movies, you're gonna get excited. And if you want to still use these things but minimize the damage, make sure you use orange graded glasses or something called Flux, f.lux. Is a software that you can apply to your own computer that runs in the background, and based where you are in the world and the time it is, it regulates the gradient of orange that is being applied to the screen. This is gonna be hard for most, but no synthetic fabrics. The skin needs to breathe, and if you are using something that was made with petroleum or with just 10% of cotton, it's not gonna be good. Synthetic fabric do not allow the body to thermoregulate and release the heat properly. So if you have to use something, use linen, which is the top of the top. It also has a electromagnetic protection if you wear it or if you surround yourself with it. It's the only material they talk about in the Bible. The second one is cotton, organic cotton if you can, and wool. And the same that you apply for the covers of the bed applies for the cover of the mattress. If you're not watching this from Japan and you sleep on the floor, make sure you invest in your mattress. This explains itself, especially after I talk about the invisible rainbow, but no electromagnetic sources around the bed. And this, if you can, includes Wi-Fi. So before you go to sleep, switch everything off, including the Wi-Fi. And nothing in the bed, please. If you have a television, remove it. If you have computer or phone, get an alarm, really. There are alarms that wakes you up, signaling the effect of the sunrise. They cost nothing, and they will definitely make your life better. And this is my favorite, 90-minute cycles. Sleep patterns move into 90-minute cycles. So 1 hour and a half, 3 hours, 4 hours and a half, 6 hours, and so on. So whenever you go to sleep, if you have to set an alarm, make sure it covers these multiples or if you are going to bed at night and you have to wake up at 6 a.m., make sure you calculate any of these multiples, because in between these areas is when the deep sleep happens. And if you disrupt it, you wake up that you are not feeling rested. But if you wake up precisely around these times, these multiples, you will wake up feeling in a completely different way. And maybe you can even remove the coffees or the energy drinks through the day. I think the major switch that you can do about sleep is not something that has to be done, but something that you get to celebrate every single night over and over again. So make sure your room becomes a sanctuary. You remove all the things that do not promote sleep and you add things that help you falling asleep, like a good organic candle or some proper blinders for the windows or one of these lights. This is my most precious belonging. It was a gift from my mom and it traveled with me from Australia back to Italy, then all over Europe and back to Australia, because you can set the light red, then this brightness, and then even a more intense brightness. But when it's time to go to sleep, you definitely use this. So any reading, any meditation I do inside of the room, I use this one, because he helps the brain to switch mode and prepare for rest. And the other thing that I do is I use this through meditation or through reading books, because it cancels all the noises. It's for heavy workers, but it does the magic even for you. And if you want to focus harder or go into a deep state of meditation and you can't normally, this is the way. And while you read books, you can absorb so much more because it removes all the distractions outside. Anything you do towards sleep is a compounding investment. And in 5 years' time, you take one person that has been sleeping properly and resting properly, and one that has not, that is committing to watching Netflix every single night or going to bed and sleep 5 hours a night, 6 hours a night, having disrupted sleep because of this or that excuse, and you will definitely notice the difference. And it applies also to the skin, the quality of your skin, the quality of your hair, everything. It's like watering a plant with bad water and watering the second one with very good water. Which one you think is thriving in a few years' time? And the other important thing is either put plants inside of the room that helps you through the night, or get an air purifier, because these will make an incredible difference. And if you have problems sleeping and breathing during the night, get a ring for the nose that expands your nostril and a tap for the mouth, so you're not breathing with your mouth anymore. The teeth will improve because you're not introducing too much air into the mouth, and especially you will breathe just with your nose, which will impact your sleep so much more. Sleep is the foundation of everything. Combined to a clean nutrition, it builds a body so resilient you will be able to thrive through anything. If you want guidance to minimize inflammation, optimize your sleep, and build the health foundation for the next phase of your life, apply through the link below and let's talk. I will see you in the next video.